Well, Ireland have beaten Scotland in the opening round of the Guinness Six Nations Championship here at the Aviva Stadium, but by 7 points, and the scoreline certainly doesn't tell the whole story. Job done in terms of winning in the first game in charge for Ireland head coach Andy Farrell, Alan Quinlan, but they were made very hard for it, and certainly Scotland, I would suspect, will feel they left that one behind them.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Scotland deserved to win it, but they certainly they could have won it. Stuart Hogg dropping the ball was a massive moment in the game. I think Ireland will be pleased to get the result in the end. You saw the reaction there, the turnovers, but they were sloppy. They turned the ball over themselves a number of occasions. They did try to play with a lot of width and attack from as much as they could in the game, which maybe in a sense they went from A to Z too quickly around that, and at times in the second half there they just needed to get hold of the ball and have some one-out runners and just a few pick and goes and try and get the Scotland defence to get a little bit narrow, because sometimes when we moved the ball and shifted it on, there wasn't good hard lines, and Scotland just got their defensive line right, and in credit to them, they made it really difficult for Ireland today. So I think they'll look back at the match and they'll be very, very pleased with the win, but it just had that feel in the second half that it wasn't right, everything wasn't right. And I think Johnny Sexton said in his interview that historically Ireland haven't got their best performances in the first game up, but they've got to get a lot better for Wales next week.
Aside from the victory, which is the be all and end all, it is a results driven business. Defeat would have been a catastrophe for Andy Farrell. What other positives can you take from the game?
I think the defence, not letting Scotland score a try. We know Hogg should have scored a try, but I think Andrew Conway will probably look back and say maybe he came up and in and made it a little bit easier than it should have been for Hogg. I think their work rate and they'll build on this. I think there's a lot of pressure and expectation coming in, and maybe we all got carried away again and thought it would be easier than it actually was. It was a little bit the unknown because Scotland had made 10 changes themselves, but their reaction was incredibly impressive. And rugby's about physicality, and sometimes talent comes after that, because you must be physical, and they were really, really physical today, and Ireland didn't really cope with that, and maybe we were a little bit surprised at how long that physicality went on for, because it never relented throughout the whole game. Their discipline was poor, Scotland, but I think the big plus is when you don't concede a try, and I think they showed a patience as well. They didn't panic. At any stage I didn't see anybody shooting out of the line and making bad decisions. I think they kept trying, Ireland, but they just made too many mistakes, and they've got to get a lot sharper. The big disappointment and the worry is the injuries. Caelan Doris, I think it was so unfortunate for him. We don't know what happened with Gary Ringrose and Dave Kilcoyne going off as well with and Tyke Furlong as well. And so look, it was a very, very attritional game, and I think they'll be feeling the pain of that, but it's always better when you win. So first up, I think it's not the best performance. I think there was moments in the game where they looked like they could score and there was opportunities there, but Scotland made it really difficult, sometimes legally, sometimes illegally. But you got to give them credit for that. They really brought a fight today, and thankfully Ireland just got over the line. There
were many come into the game with real question marks over their selection, one of which was CJ Stander. He lost his place at number 8, if you want to put it that way, regained it very early in the game after the injury to Caelan Doris. He started at 6, walks away with the Player of the Match award, and arguably the biggest moment of the game, that turnover with the Scots on the Irish try line.
Yeah, I did, I think, and that's the reaction you want from someone who's under pressure, and Peter O'Mahony came on and got a few big moments as well. Wasn't as prominent in the second half, but Stander was probably... It was difficult when you're picking Player of the Match, and you're, particularly in the second half, when Ireland were on the back foot a lot. But Stander continuously, you're always going to get that honesty and that huge work rate from him. But he had big moments today. He had big carries in that first half. He was the one who made a lot of line breaks, great tackles, and a couple of big turnovers as well. So in what was a scrappy performance, I think Stander was the player of the game, and that'll be a big confidence booster for him. Who knows what's going to happen with Caelan Doris. Max Deegan may come into the equation as well. He was very, very close as well. So overall, I think it was great to see Devin Toner back. That was a big plus as well. Won the first line out, and so I think it's as I said, it wasn't a good performance. It was when they rated, it's probably a 6 out of 10 performance, which you'd expect more and you'd want more, and them themselves, the players, will want more. But I saw Andy Farrell down there when the players are coming off, and he's a really positive, inspiring guy, and I think he'll pat the players in the back and say, you stuck in there, it wasn't perfect, and sometimes rugby is like that. So the crowd leave here thinking, you know, where are we now? And that wasn't probably what we expected today. There's no doubt it should have been better, but I think there is a lot of positives, particularly around the resilience and the fight that Ireland showed to stay in the game.
Well, the Irish fans came to the Aviva Stadium hoping to see a win. They got that. And of course, their next game against Wales at home next weekend will be live on Virgin Media 1. Do tune in for that. The Andy Farrell regime is up and running.